I was 3 miles in. No GPS. No bars. Just trees. Endless trees. And something moving behind me. At first, I thought it was just the wind, branches swaying, harmless sounds. But then it started matching my pace. Every time I stopped, it stopped. When I walked faster, it kept up. No footsteps, just that dragging sound. I turned around. Nothing. But I knew something was there. Watching. Waiting. My flashlight flickered. Battery's full, no reason for it to do that. I clicked it off. Held my breath. Then snap, right behind me. I ran. I didn't care where. I just had to get away. The trail I came in on was gone. Completely vanished. That's when I realized. I wasn't on any trail. This wasn't on the map. This place, whatever it was, wasn't supposed to exist. And somehow I'd walked right into it. Okay, I should probably start from the beginning, because none of this was supposed to happen. My name's Alex. I'm not some explorer, not a ghost hunter. I don't even like hiking that much, to be honest. But I do like stories. Weird ones. The kind you find on message boards at 2 a.m. buried beneath a wall of "Don't read this alone" warnings. It started like that. I was scrolling late one night, aimlessly bouncing between videos, missing person cases, creepy trail cams, that kind of stuff. You know how it goes. One click turns into 5 hours. And somewhere in that rabbit hole, I found this thread. It didn't have a flashy title. Just a simple post, "Avoid the trail near Briar Glen." It's not on Google Maps, and there's a reason for that. No location pin. No photos. Just a grainy black and white screenshot of a wooded path and a single comment underneath that said, "People go, they don't come back. If you see the marker, turn around." That was it. I thought it was fake. CreepyPasta, right? But I saved the thread anyway. Something about it felt off. It didn't read like fiction. No dramatic storytelling, no exaggerated claims. Just short, clipped warnings. A bunch of users replying things like, "I heard about this," or "My cousin swore he saw the marker," or "This is why I stay out of the woods." I closed the tab, but it stayed in my head for days. Then I did something stupid. I posted about it. I asked if anyone else had heard of it, this phantom trail near Briar Glen. That's when the DMs started coming in. Most were jokes, but a few weren't. One guy sent me a blurry photo of an old wooden signpost, no writing on it, just a carved X burned into the wood. Said it was about a mile past a dead-end service road. Told me to stay on the gravel, don't go beyond the tree with the chain. Another message was just a coordinates link. It led to what looked like empty forest. Zoomed all the way in, there was a faint path, barely visible, but no label. No trail name. No reviews. No street view. And Google Maps wouldn't let me drop a pin on it. Every time I tried, the screen would just reset. It was like that section of the forest didn't want to be marked. I should have stopped there, but I didn't. A friend of mine, Josh, he's one of those prove it or it didn't happen types. He dared me to go check it out. Said he'd even come with me. Of course, when the time came, he bailed last minute. Something came up. "Rain check," he said. I went anyway. Packed light. Just a GoPro, backup battery, flashlight, power bank, and a printed map in case my phone acted up. It did, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I left, I dug through more forums, trying to find anything I could, and I kept seeing the same warning again and again. "If you see the tree with chains, turn back." That phrase kept popping up. Different usernames, different platforms. Reddit, obscure blogs, even an old archive page from a hiking group that hadn't posted since 2012. No one said what was past it, only that if you ignored it, things changed. The trail was real. People had seen it, but no one talked about what was at the end. And Google Maps? Completely blank in that area. You can trace every road around it. But that little section? No details, just green, as if the forest itself had been erased. And yet, some people found it, at least for a while. I told myself I'd just take a quick look, film what I could, maybe prove it was nothing, get a creepy video out of it. That was the plan. But what I found, it wasn't a trail. Felt like a trap waiting to be triggered. If you're enjoying this chilling tale so far, why not take a second to hit that subscribe button? It really helps us grow the channel and brings you more terrifying stories like this one. And hey, there's always another haunting just around the corner. The day I went out there was clear. Mid-morning sun, no clouds, cool breeze. Exactly the kind of day you'd want to be on a hike. It didn't feel like the start of something dangerous. It felt almost too normal. I parked near an old ranger station. The building looked abandoned. No cars, boarded up windows, weeds crawling up the sides. I double-checked my pack, made sure the camera was rolling, then headed down the gravel road the guy in my DMs had mentioned. No one else was around. No hikers, no campers, not even a single parked car. After about 20 minutes of walking, I passed the last visible trail marker. A faded green sign with peeling paint, pointed toward a loop trail I wasn't interested in. I kept going straight, past a broken gate that looked like it hadn't been closed in years. That's when the woods started to change. It's hard to explain if you weren't there, but the trees felt different, closer together, taller, like they were leaning in. The sound changed too. Less birdsong, more silence. The kind of silence that's thick, where even your footsteps feel louder than they should. And then I saw it, the chain. It was wrapped around the base of a massive oak tree, low to the ground, half buried in moss. Just like the message said, you wouldn't even notice it unless you were looking for it. It gave me this weird feeling, like stepping over a line you weren't meant to cross. I stopped and stared at it for a long time. Part of me wanted to turn back. Honestly, I kept thinking about those warnings. If you see the tree with chains, turn around. But nothing had happened. No threats, no weird noises. Just a weird vibe and a shady old tree. So I stepped over it. The air felt different the second I crossed that point. Heavier, cooler, but not in a refreshing way. Like walking into a basement that hasn't been opened in years. I checked my phone. Still had bars. Still had GPS. So I kept going. The path was narrow, like it wasn't meant to be walked. Twigs and roots everywhere. No signs, no markers. Just this faint line through the woods that barely looked like a trail. Every 20 or 30 feet, I'd stop to listen. I don't know why. Just instinct, I guess. Like I was waiting for something to catch up. And then it started. My phone buzzed. Glitched. Just for a second. The screen flickered and reset itself. I thought, okay, maybe the cold? Maybe the battery? But it was fully charged. It shouldn't have done that. Still, I chalked it up to bad signal. Then, 30 seconds later, it buzzed again, only this time there was no notification. No messages. Nothing open. Just a sudden vibration and then silence. I took it as a warning. But I didn't listen. I told myself I was just freaking myself out. That all those late-night stories were getting in my head. But deep down, something felt off. You know when you're being watched even if you can't see anyone. It's a pressure. A shift in awareness. I kept walking. And that's when I noticed that the trees weren't just taller. They were wrong. Twisted in ways that didn't make sense. Branches growing downward, some trunks curved like question marks, some with bark stripped clean like something had clawed through them. I filmed everything. Narrated what I could. But my voice kept sounding small. That's the only way I can describe it. Like the forest was swallowing the sound. And then I realized I hadn't seen a single animal. No squirrels. No birds. Not even bugs buzzing near my ears. Just silence. Except for the sound of my own feet. And something else. Something faint. Behind me. If you're enjoying this chilling tale so far, why not take a second to hit that subscribe button? It really helps us grow the channel and brings you more terrifying stories like this one. I don't know exactly when I realized I'd gone too far. There wasn't a single moment, it was more like a series of little things. Details you try to ignore at first because the alternative is worse. The alternative is accepting that you're somewhere you shouldn't be. The first thing was the trees. They started repeating. I know that sounds crazy, but I passed a tree with a large, vertical scar down its bark, a lightning strike maybe, and 20 minutes later, I passed it again. Same shape, same split, same moss growing at the base like a footprint. I thought I just looped around. Easy mistake, right? So I checked the compass on my phone. It was spinning. Not dramatically, just drifting like it couldn't decide where north was. I tried the map app. Blank. The GPS dot still showed me standing in the same spot I'd been 20 minutes ago, even though I'd been walking the entire time. Still, I pushed on. I told myself to keep calm. I was documenting this, remember? That's what I came for. Weird stuff. And I was getting it. But there's a difference between documenting something strange and being inside it. I passed more trees that looked too similar, too symmetrical. A trio of tall pines, leaning inward, like a doorway. Then again, same arrangement. and again. Then the light started changing. It was subtle at first, just a bit dimmer. But I looked up, and the sky had this washed-out look, like it was being filtered through something thicker than clouds. No sun, just this dull, grayish cast, like a backlit sheet. I checked the time. It was just afternoon, but it looked like late afternoon. And that's when I saw the first one. A stack of stones. 6 or 7 of them balanced carefully in the middle of the path. No markings, just sitting there like someone had left it as a sign. I walked around it, didn't touch it, didn't even get too close. But right after I passed it, my camera shut off. No warning, just died. I powered it back on, battery was still at 78%. No overheating, no error. I recorded again. I said, some kind of interference, maybe electromagnetic? Could be mineral deposits underground. Could be nothing. I said it for the camera, but it was mostly for myself. Because that's what you do when you start to feel the panic rising. You explain things. You give them names. You assign them reasons. The second stone stack appeared maybe 15 minutes later. This one was bigger, taller. The stones looked wet, like they'd just been placed. And next to it, scratched into a fallen log, was a mark. An X, carved hard, deep, angry. That's when I realized something else. There were no sounds anymore. No wind, no birds, no creaking branches. Just me. I stopped walking, and I heard something. It was faint, far off, but it sounded like footsteps. Slow, crunching, deliberate. I spun around. Nothing. I called out, "Hello? Hey, anyone there?" My voice came out too loud, like it didn't belong. And then silence again. I started walking faster. Not running, but quick, nervous steps, constantly looking over my shoulder. That feeling of being followed, it was like a weight pressed between my shoulder blades. Then I passed another X. This one wasn't carved. It was built. 2 branches tied together with twine, stuck upright in the ground. I stepped around it carefully, took a photo with my phone, and my screen flickered. The photo didn't save. Then it restarted itself. Right in front of me, like something had pressed the power button. When it turned back on, my gallery was empty. All the trail photos, gone. Only the selfies I'd taken before the hike were still there. Everything else vanished. I don't even remember deleting them. I couldn't have. I didn't even open the gallery before that moment. That was when the panic started to creep in. I decided to turn back. At least, I thought I was turning back. But within 10 minutes, I saw the first stone stack again. Same height, same tilt to the top stone, same wet-looking surface. I was back where I started. Except now, there was another one next to it. Smaller, newly stacked, still damp. I stared at it for a long time, because I hadn't made that. I hadn't seen it before, and I would have. So either someone else was out there with me, or the forest had changed, or something had been following me. I wasn't lost. I was looped. Every turn I took brought me back to something I'd already passed. A mark, a branch formation. That twisted tree with the split trunk, bent low like a spine. Every path became the same path. And then I stopped trying to leave. I thought maybe I was just panicking too early. Maybe it was some weird topography trick. Or just fatigue. Maybe I was walking in circles without realizing it. So I sat down, took a drink, tried to breathe. I told myself I'd wait for the sun to move. I'd figure out direction. That was the plan. But it never moved. I stared up for 15 minutes. No shift. No change. Just that same washout gray light. Like the sky was a screen frozen in place. I checked the time. Still 12:41 p.m. Same time it had said over an hour ago. I opened my phone's clock app, then the stopwatch. I started the timer. Then I closed the app. Waited 5 full minutes, at least that's what it felt like. Opened it again. Midnight. I didn't say anything out loud. I just stood up. And I started walking again. This time I kept my eyes on the ground, looking for anything to mark my direction. I tied strips of paper towel from my pack to branches every 100 steps. I counted. I made small marks in the dirt with a stick. I scratched arrows into trees. But the trail kept shifting. Sometimes the marks would vanish. Other times I'd find 2 of the same arrow, one fresh, one already faded, as if one had been there long before I got here. And then I saw him. Just standing there. In the trees, far off. Maybe 30 yards. Still, no movement. Too far to make out his face. He wasn't walking. He wasn't calling out. Just watching. I blinked and he was gone. No sound. No movement. Just gone. I didn't chase. I didn't speak. I just turned away and walked in the other direction. Faster now. Feet crunching harder on dead leaves, snapping twigs underfoot, breath shallow in my chest. I checked behind me every few steps. No one. But that feeling, it got stronger. Like something was keeping pace. Always just behind the trees. Just far enough to stay hidden. Then came the smell. At first it was faint. Like wet stone and rust. But it got stronger. Thicker. Like metal soaked in rain and old earth. Like dried blood that had never been washed clean. And the air, it started to feel wrong. Heavy. Like breathing through cloth. The trees closed in tighter, the path growing narrower until I had to push branches away from my face. And that's when I heard it. My voice. From somewhere in the trees. Just barely audible. Muffled. Like a recording. It said, "I don't think I'm alone out here," the same exact thing I had recorded earlier that morning. But no one had access to those files. No one else had my audio. I froze. And then I heard it again. This time even closer. It said, "If you see the tree with chains, turn around." The exact words from that Reddit post. Same tone. Same voice. My voice. Then silence. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. I stood there, heart hammering, ears straining for any sound. But it was like the forest had swallowed everything again. Then something new. Whispers. Not words. Just sounds. Right on the edge of hearing. Like someone speaking just behind a wall, underwater. Then gone. I turned and ran. No plan. No map. Just instinct. The path was tighter now. It shouldn't have been a path at all. Thorn branches scratched my arms, my clothes snagged on twigs. My bag caught on something and I had to tear it free. And then the forest opened up just slightly. A clearing. Small, maybe 15 feet wide. Circular. Too perfect to be natural. And in the center was a cabin. Old. Gray. Boards warped. The roof sagged on one side like it was ready to collapse. No smoke. No sound. But the door was open. Just a crack. Like someone forgot to shut it or someone was waiting. I didn't want to go in. I told myself, just walk around it. Keep moving. But I couldn't. Because something was behind me. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. But I knew. I knew if I turned around, I'd see something I was never meant to see. So I stepped inside. 1 foot. Then another. The door creaked louder than it should have. Like it was announcing me. Inside, it was dark. Stale. Dust hung in the air like fog. There was a table. A single chair. A window boarded from the outside. And on the table, a map. Drawn by hand. It showed the forest. The trail. The chains. And it showed something else. A red circle with the words. "Don't let it follow you out." Stared at the map, my hands trembling as I traced the paths with my finger. Something about it looked familiar. Too familiar. The lines weren't just showing trails, they were showing patterns. Looped circles. Traps. And that's when I understood. This forest wasn't just strange, it was designed. Every repeating tree, every looping path, they weren't coincidences or hallucinations. They were architecture. Someone or something had built this place like a maze. I studied the map closer, noticing faint pencil marks I hadn't seen at first. Arrows. Numbers. And at certain intersections, small X's that matched the ones I'd been seeing outside. The map was a key. A cold realization washed over me. I wasn't the first person to be trapped here. The cabin, the map, someone else had figured it out before me. But had they escaped? The floorboards creaked behind me. I didn't turn around. Instead, I quickly folded the map and shoved it in my pocket. That dragging sound again. Closer now? Inside the cabin with me. I grabbed the only weapon available, the wooden chair, and finally turned. Nothing was there. Just the open door, swinging gently. But outside, just visible through the doorframe, stood a figure. Still. Silent. Watching. It looked almost human. Almost. But its proportions were wrong, like someone had described a person to an artist who'd never actually seen one. Too tall. Arms too long. And its face. I couldn't look at its face. It tilted its head like it was curious. Then it spoke. With my voice. I wasn't lost. I was looped. My own words. My exact inflection. That's when I understood what it was doing. Learning me. Becoming me. The thing took a step forward. I backed away, clutching the map. It wouldn't let me leave. Not intact anyway. It needed something from me first. I glanced down at the map again. The red circle wasn't marking a location, it was showing a boundary. The edge of whatever this place was. And there was a pattern to the X's. They weren't random markers, they were a sequence. I had to follow them in order. With one last look at the figure, I bolted through the back window. Glass shattered. My arm sliced open. I didn't care. I ran. Behind me, something moved through the trees. Not walking. Not running. Just shifting. Like it was part of the forest itself. I pulled out the map. The first X was near a stone stack. I'd seen them before. I changed direction, counting steps. 100. 200. The forest seemed to resist me now. Branches reached lower. Roots rose higher. The ground itself felt spongy, like it was trying to pull me down. But there it was, the first stack of stones. Exactly like the drawing. I checked the map again. From here, I needed to go. Wait, the map had changed. The X's were in different places now. The paths had shifted. My heart sank. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. The forest was adapting, changing the rules. But then I noticed something. On the back of the map, bleeding through the paper, more writing. I turned it over. It mimics, follows, it can't create. And underneath, make your own mark. I didn't understand, but I was running out of time. The dragging sound was getting closer. I took out my pocket knife. With shaking hands, I carved my own X into the nearest tree. Nothing happened. I checked behind me. The figure was closer now, still mimicking my stance, my posture. I carved another X, then another, making my own path, and something changed. The air felt lighter, the trees less oppressive. I was breaking the pattern. I carved X after X, marking my way forward. Each cut into the bark sent vibrations through the forest, like I was damaging something living. The figure followed, but it seemed confused. It would reach one of my marks and pause, as if it couldn't understand what I was doing. I kept going, kept carving, kept making my own path where there wasn't one before. And then I saw it, the tree with chains, the entrance point, but it looked different now. The chains were unraveling, rusting away before my eyes. I ran toward it. Behind me, the thing let out a sound I can't describe, like static and screaming merged together. It rushed forward. I felt cold fingers brush the back of my neck. I jumped over the chain. The world shifted. Sunlight, birdsong, the normal sounds of a forest. I landed hard on the gravel path, scraping my palms. When I looked back, the trail behind me was just trees, normal trees, no figure, no darkness, but I could still feel it watching, waiting. I ran all the way back to my car. Didn't stop once. Didn't look back. It's been 3 weeks now. I've tried to tell this story to others. Some believe me, most don't. The trail doesn't appear on any map. The coordinates lead nowhere. But sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I hear my own voice whispering things I never said. And sometimes, I catch glimpses of someone in mirrors or windows who looks exactly like me, but isn't. I think a part of it followed me out after all. And I think it's still learning, still becoming. Wait, did you hear that? If you enjoyed this chilling story, why not take a second to hit that subscribe button? It really helps us grow the channel and brings you more terrifying stories like this one. Thanks for watching.